So we want to use a sum or difference identity to find the exact value of the sine of 165. And they want the answer in a certain format. That's right here. And I'll explain that in a minute. What they're trying to do is make it easier for you to enter answers in the computer. All right, so I need to think of values, angles on the unit circle whose sum or difference would be 165. So I'm thinking 120 degrees plus 45 degrees equals 165 degrees. All right, so what I'm going to do is think of the formula for the sum of two angles and wanting the sine of those, and that sine of alpha plus beta equals sine of the first angle cosine of the second angle plus cosine of the first angle. I'm out of room here, I'll put it below, sine of the second angle. All right, so that means if I have the sine of 165 degrees, that is the sine of 120 degrees plus 45 degrees. So I can use this sum formula for sine, and that's going to be sine of the first angle, which is 120, cosine of the second angle, which is 45 degrees, plus cosine of the first angle, which is 120, times sine of the second angle, which is 45. All right, so now I can think of the unit circle and figure out the values I need to plug in this formula. Thinking of 120 is right over here in quadrant 2, smaller x, bigger y, so that's going to be 1/2 and square root 3 over 2, but I'm in quadrant 2 where x values are negative, so we need a negative on the 1/2. And then thinking of 45, I'm here in the middle in quadrant 1. That's where they match on those multiples of 45. So they're both square root 2 over 2, and everything in quadrant 1 is positive. So this is going to equal the sine of 120, which is the y value over here in quadrant 2. That's square root 3 over 2, times the cosine of 45. That's the x value here, which is square root 2 over 2, plus now we need cosine of 120. That would be the x value over here in quadrant 2. That's negative 1/2. And then we need sine of 45, which is square root 2 over 2. Now we could multiply these together, which we did in class, but what we're going to do instead is we're going to make it match this format right here. So I'm going to factor out the common radical. The thing that's in common in both of these terms is a square root 2. I'm going to factor that out in front. So that would leave square root 3. Over here it would leave minus 1. And the whole thing is over. They have a common denominator of 2 times 2, or 4. Now notice the format of my answer matches the format they're asking for, and why they did this is because now A is what's sitting out here and B is what's underneath right here in that form. So it says A equals, and you've just got to enter a 2, and B equals, and you've just got to enter a 3. So that saves you having to hit all those radical buttons and fractions and so forth.